Welcome back. You're watching Markets at Noon on ET now. And let's talk about Chola Finance. They announced their Q4 earnings. The PAT has seen a very strong growth. The PAT is coming at around 243.2 crore rupees compared to 42.6 crore rupees a year ago. The reported NII is coming higher by about 22% at 1,342 crore rupees. To talk more on the numbers, to dwell in further on the way forward, we are joined by Arulselvan D, who is the Executive Vice President and CFO of Chola Investment and Finance Company. Good afternoon. This is Cheryl joining in. I wanted to talk about your earnings, and while your NII growth is actually has been about 22%, like I mentioned as well, besides the low base and controlled provisions, what actually has led to high profit growth in Q4?
Thank you. See, our profits has been steadily increasing over the periods, and in this particular year, the NII growth is driven by cost of funds savings. If you could see, the cost of funds have been more than 100 basis points drop as compared to the previous year. And that's been one of the major contributors to the NII growth. Apart from, of course, our focus moving from low-yielding products to high-yield products, the market was supportive. Tractors and two-wheelers and the mini commercial vehicles were picking up even immediately after the COVID-1 when was run down. And so we could pick up these volumes because of our rural focus, and we could grow these particular segments quite effectively, making the NII improve considerably. OPEX was also low, and loan losses compared to peers and compared to the situation on the ground had been kept much under control. So these contributed the P&L improvements.
Right. We are actually currently in the phase of second COVID wave, which is absolutely very, very severe in the country. You're seeing localized lockdowns as well come up. But at the ground level, could you tell us how it's impacted your collection efficiencies? Also, this is across segments like vehicle finance, LAP, SMEs, and also home loans.
Yeah, we are seeing the impact of COVID-2 more in the current month, which is April, and the current quarter, which is April, May. And we expect, this to impact, a little bit more severely than what happened in COVID-1. And in that regard only, we had created an additional provision of around 300 crores. And just to mention, the old provision which we created for COVID-1 has remained completely unutilized. So around 800 crores which we have been carrying, plus this 300 crores has made the total number of provision we are carrying almost at 1,100 crores, incremental provision purely towards the COVID overlay. So this is, in our view, adequate to, take care of any vagaries arising because of the COVID-2's impact, which we expected to be there for April and May, and progressively start turning to the better as we move into June and July. Unless, of course, there is also some talks about COVID-3, etc. But right now, that's not been factored in. What we have factored in is the provisioning for COVID-2 levels of impact.
Okay. Hi, sir. This is Mubina as well joining in. So 1,100 crore of provisions being made, with respect to the second wave. I suppose that for now this looks adequate to you. I want to talk to you about the disbursement trends that you have witnessed in Q4. The company has a good amount of exposure to the rural segment. So if you could talk to us about the consumer trends, the demand trends that you've been witnessing since April.
Yeah, disbursement in Q4 had been good. While the printed numbers talk about a 43%, I would want to be conservative about it because last year, same quarter, the disbursement halted in the last week of March. So these are not a real apples to apple comparison. But I think a reasonable amount of growth is expected in the coming year. However, in Q1, because of the various levels of lockdown across various states, the disbursement numbers will not be, so robust. But I think before the COVID-2 came in, there was good amount of, exuberance on the market picking up quickly. And I think that will come back once this COVID-2 is behind us. And we are sure that this will help pick up the disbursements in for the financial year FY22, though it may start again little delayed as similar to last year where Q1 was a complete lockdown.
Okay. What about the AUM growth guidance going forward in FY22? What segments do you think will contribute to growth given, the impact of the second wave on different sectors?
In the case of AUM, you are going to witness a slightly different, results. See, in FY21, though actually disbursement dropped year on year by 10%, we saw the AUM grow by 14%. That is primarily because of the moratorium. For around 4 to 5 months in the full year, the rundowns were not happening, resulting in the AUM being static for those months. And hence the rundowns and then the consequent AUM degrowth on account of the rundowns had not happened. And that is why, in spite of a negative disbursement growth in FY21, you witnessed a AUM growth. Now, this year, you are going to see the reverse because I don't think the government is proposing a moratorium. So without a moratorium type of an approach, the AUM rundowns will continue to happen. So to that extent, you will have a faster rundown of AUM in this year. And so you are, in spite of, let's assume if there is a X value of disbursement growth, the AUM rundown is going to be little more sharper than that on a negative side because of the rundown of the past book as well as the current book. So you will not see the same levels of growth or, it will be a lower level of growth on the AUM. So it is right now very difficult to predict, considering the, uncertainties prevailing in the marketplace. So I would rather not want to commit on any forward-looking statements on the growth of either the disbursement or the AUM.
All right, then, Mr. Arulselvan, we leave it at there. Thank you for joining us on ET Now, giving us a take on the earnings and the way forward for Chola Finance. And that was Mr. Arulselvan D, who is the Executive Vice President as well as the CFO of Chola Mandalam Investment and Finance Company. All right, moving on now to the aviation space, and this